What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 8 sleepers and studs.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you a sleeper pick and my favorite stud at each position.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video,
We'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 8. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. So one of my quarterback studs is Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins playing the Detroit Lions, who have the worst defense overall. They give up the third most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Tua Tagovailoa has averaged 17.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 1.6 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 13% owned, projected at 19.7 fantasy points here in Week 8. He's 6,200 DraftKings salary, 1,500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 51.5 points scored in this game, with the Dolphins favored by 3.5. Now, Tua Tagovailoa, he came back from injury last week. He scored 16 fantasy points. He had 4 rush attempts. And this is a high-scoring game, a fantastic matchup, a close, competitive game. So I like Tua Tagovailoa here versus the Detroit Lions. Okay, one of my sleeper picks at the quarterback position is Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing quarterbacks. Now, Justin Fields, he's averaged 14.8 fantasy points per game on the season, but I like this pick because he's averaging 9.7 rush attempts per game. So he's got some big rushing upside, only going to be about 2% owned. Now, he's projected at 14.7 fantasy points here in Week 8. But I'm going to up that projection to 18 fantasy points because I like his rushing upside. And he's only 5,200 DraftKings salary, 1,300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game. And they have the Chicago Bears trailing by 9.5. So Justin Fields has scored 24, 19, and 17 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 14, 12, and 8 rush attempts in those games. So I love the rushing upside, and this could be a good game script for Justin Fields. The Chicago Bears fall behind. He could get some extra pass attempts in this one. So I like Justin Fields here versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
All you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
and we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. One of my running back studs is Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints, playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have the 4th worst defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing running backs. Alvin Kamara has averaged 15.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 15.4 rush attempts per game and 7 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 18% owned, projected at 17.8 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 7,100 DraftKings salary, only 700 more on FanDuel, so I like that price on both sites. Vegas thinks there's going to be 49.5 points scored in this game, with the Saints trailing by 1. So Alvin Kamara has scored 18, and 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He got 11, 19, and 23 rush attempts in those games, on top of 9, and 6 pass targets. So lots of volume here, over 20 or more touches for all the last 3 weeks. So tons of volume. His production's been good. Now it's a pretty good matchup in what should be a high-scoring game, close, competitive game, and his salary's still relatively low. So I like Alvin Kamara here versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, now one of my sleeper picks at the running back position is Miles Sanders from the Philadelphia Eagles, playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have the 5th worst defense overall. They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Miles Sanders has averaged 15.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 17.5 rush attempts per game and 2.2 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 5% owned, projected at 13.9 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 6,600 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 43 points scored in this game, with the Eagles favored by 10.5. So Miles Sanders has scored 14, 8, and 33 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 18, 15, and 27 rush attempts, on top of 1, 3, and 3 pass targets. So this could be a good game script for Miles Sanders, as the Eagles take the lead in this game, could get some extra rush attempts. It's a great matchup. A lot going for this pick this week. So I like Miles Sanders here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. One of my wide receiver studs is Justin Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings, playing the Arizona Cardinals, who have the 8th worst defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing wide receivers, but Justin Jefferson has averaged 24.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 10.5 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 97% of the snaps, gonna be about 10% owned, projected at 23.7 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 9,100 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 49 points scored in this game, with the Vikings favored by 3.5. So Justin Jefferson has scored 20, 33, and 34 fantasy points in the last 3 games, off of 8, 13, and 13 pass targets. Monster volume, monster production, a high-scoring game, close, competitive game. So I like Justin Jefferson here versus the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, now one of my sleeper picks at the wide receiver position is Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers playing the LA Rams, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk has averaged 13 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 7 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 91% of the snaps, only going to be about 2% owned, projected at 12.3 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 6,100 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game, with the 49ers favored by 1.5. So Brandon Ayuk has scored 15, 28, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 11, 11, and 4 pass targets. Now I also like this pick because Deebo Samuel and Jawan Jennings are both questionable, and neither of them practiced Thursday heading into the week 8 slate. So this could open up some extra opportunity for Brandon Ayuk, who's already got 22 targets in the past 2 weeks. So I like Brandon Ayuk here versus the LA Rams. Okay, let's take a look at the tight end position. One of my tight end studs is Dallas Goedert from the Philadelphia Eagles, playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have the 5th worst defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing tight ends, but Dallas Goedert has averaged 11.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 88% of the snaps. He's going to be about 9% owned, projected at 11.8 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 5,000 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel. We know Vegas thinks there's going to be 43 points scored in this game, with the Eagles favored by 10.5. So Dallas Goedert has scored 4, 18, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 5, 9, and 6 pass targets. So I like Dallas Goedert here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, now a sleeper pick that I like at the tight end position is Tyler Conklin from the New York Jets, playing the New England Patriots, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Tyler Conklin has scored or averaged 7.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.4 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 81% of the snaps, only going to be about 2% owned, projected at 6.1 fantasy points here in week 8. He's 3,200 DraftKings salary, 1,600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 40.5 points scored in this game, with the Jets trailing by 2.5. So Tyler Conklin, he had a strong start to the season. He's faded out recently, only scoring 6 and 3 fantasy points in the last 2 games off of 6 and 2 pass targets. But I like that he got 6 pass targets last game. It's a good matchup. Salary is low. So I like Tyler Conklin as a sleeper pick here versus the New England Patriots.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.